SMS for Dotdigital. So let's have a look. What are we going to go through today? So I guess it's just first worth pointing out, as those that attend these things, you know I don't use a lot of PowerPoints, but I've got a few slides here just so it looks semi-professional. So I was looking for facts around SMS, right? So our system works in over 222 different countries, and it proves to be the highest opening channel pretty much in any digital on any digital channel. So 98% open rates, read rates within 5 minutes to send. Don't have to have a online connection, or you don't have to have a broadband connection, whatever, because of course it goes through the phone. And on average, people check their phones 150 times a day. I read that. I've now cut it down. How sad is that? 250 times. Does he want me? Does he love me? Does he love me not? Does he love me? Does he love me not? So nice some facts there. We've got virtually perfect engagement score. Anytime, any place, anywhere. A bit like Martini. Okay. And it's also the only message system that can be delivered to all mobile phones. So pretty good. So just those facts there in a bit more detail, I guess. 98% read rate for SMS, ridiculous. We all obviously devour and kind of sort of stress over our open rates for email. 98% on SMS, quite interesting. 90% of messages are read within 3 seconds of receiving. People with literally nothing better to do than read text messages. As I said, people look at their phones 150 times a day. But it's trackable. Didn't used to be, it is now. So we can look, obviously people can reply. We can also see who's kind of what's been delivered, people clicking links, all this stuff. So it's now a bit more akin to email in terms of looking at that analytics and kind of establishing the ROI. Supports obviously most channels, massively supports email. They work very well in tandem. And of course, it's kind of, people can opt out effectively, so we can suppress people can unsubscribe, all that good stuff. So SMS has moved on slightly to a bit more like email, as we said. Okay, so in the session today then, we're going to sort of build our from names. We're going to understand how you set up your account to receive replies, because there's a few tricks you can do with SMS. You can just send messages, that's all good. You can then receive replies if you want. It's another way of doing things, and obviously people can unsubscribe as well. So we look at how that works. We look to load some contacts and see how you can manage your contacts and stuff like that. Obviously, we'll build some campaigns and have a look at the features within the builder. Some pretty cool stuff. Actually, some stuff we just only released, as I say, about 3 or 4 weeks ago. So some new stuff in there to look at. Bit of reporting, how we see the replies, and then obviously we'll look at automation as well. So where is all that? How can we build that into our automated customer journeys and all that good? Okay. Oh, good question there. So the question there was, are you sharing your screen? The answer was obviously not. So thank you for that. So yeah, there we go. So just a few facts on there, and we'll send out the presentation for those that missed that first part. But yeah, generally just the facts that we're looking at. So this is what we're doing in our session. We're going to jump in there and go through all of this, ending off with a bit of automation. Okay. So the first bit then really is just the setup, right? Before we jump in and actually play with the account. So your SMS from name, it's a bit like the friendly from name in an email. You know, it's who does that message, that SMS, that text message come from. Now in everyone's account, so it's worth pointing out that every Dotdigital customer pretty much has SMS built into their platform. You've got it, there is no cost. It's our little Christmas gift to you. The only cost is pretty much buying send credits like you would do with email and all that sort of stuff. Talk to your contact, obviously, at Dotdigital. So there's a from name in every account, and generally it's just the company name. It's your account name. So for me, for example, Dotdigital. But you can create a lot more. So you can send from different personas, different kind of parts of the business, or different brands, or different message types. And we'll see how you can sort of add those in. It's pretty cool. And then we think about the replies. So as long as you've got a from name, you can send SMS text messages, send them en masse, or you can send them individually, you know, whatever. Whereas if you want to receive a reply, there's a couple of extra things that you need. And basically, obviously, if somebody replies, we need to know where to put that reply. Okay, so there are 2 things that you're going to need: short code and keyword. Okay, so you've all seen these. You probably will use them either as a consumer or as obviously from a professional standpoint. So first of all, the short code. So the short code is effectively the number that people are replying to, if you like, the account that people come back to. So you get a short code. So, and there's two things you might get, or your options you might have for a short code. You could have your own short code. So, you could send out an email and say, reply to 11223, etc. And that might be your own short code dedicated to your organization. That's quite expensive, but people do that. Another option, and a lot of our clients do this, is they share a short code and keyword. So you might share the short code, so reply to 11223. However, because obviously multiple clients might be using the same short code, we use keywords. So you would have a short code, which is the number that you might share with other organizations, keep the cost down. But to make sure that you receive your messages, you use a keyword. So that could be, your company name. It might be a product or a category description or whatever it might be. So we could have, reply Dotdigital to 11223. And that might be my short code, which identifies the number that I'm sending my reply to, and the keyword, which is what we use to make sure the answer goes to the right one of our customers. So short codes and keywords. So contact our guys. It's our team that will set these things up for you, whether you want your own dedicated short code or you want to share a short code and keywords and stuff like that. So really simple to kind of set that up. You can have a long code as well. It depends where you are. And there are slight differences regionally across the globe, but pretty much that is the way that it's going to be done. Okay, so that's our first bit. If you want replies or you want your customers to send you a reply, we need to set up some short codes and possibly keywords if you're going to share a short code. So really simple, and the guys will do that. I'll give you some examples actually just on the other page. You've all seen this, I'm sure. So short code and keyword reply. So if you want to reply to my message, please text keyword or .digital or whatever it might be. Oops. To 11223. You can also, of course, then have unsubscribing. So text keyword, so it recognizes my account, so .digital, but then stop as an action. So text .digital, stop to 11223. So it sends back a message, the message being stop or competition or win or all that sort of stuff, to the keyword, which is your, how we identify your organization, and then the short codes of where that message is getting sent to. So really simple to do. We set that up for you, but just bear in mind that's what you're going to need if you want replies. If you don't want replies, happy days. You create a send name, from name, and off it goes. But that will mean that your contacts can't unsubscribe if they can't reply to say stop or unsubscribe. Okay. So that's really the short code bit that we wanted to just cover. So let's have a look and let's jump in then to the platform. Hello, right. Okay, so as you all know, down the left-hand side, we have all of the different applications within Dotdigital. We are looking, of course, at SMS. Everybody has it. If you've got the SMS icon in your menu here, and it's maybe got a little round a green circle with a white cross, it just means you've not turned it on. That's all. So go in, turn it on. There is no cost. You might even have some free sends, so like a test thing. You might have 10 or 50 send credits in there to test it, but it's there for you to use. All you need to do is contact us and purchase some send credits. Okay, so let's have a think. We'll jump in and have a look, but just before we do, one thing to remember the help functionality. The question mark is on every page. There are recorded video training, obviously, for all the SMS or all of our training in the training video section. Have a look at that. There's a training video for everything that we do. And of course, the knowledge base you can search. So go to the knowledge base link here and put in the word SMS, and you'll find some sort of really good training materials in there around this. Okay, let's jump in then. So SMS tool, in we go. It's worth pointing out at the start, there are two sections of the platform where we use SMS text messaging. So the section that I'm in, this little icon here, this is what we call the broadcast SMS. This is a separate database to your email. So we upload a contact separately, and this is where you do that old classic SMS stuff where you'll send out either single messages, where you'll send out big old campaigns, 10,000 SMS messages at a time to a whole list of contacts, where we can look at replies and all that stuff. So it's a standalone broadcast SMS tool, the separate database to your email. That's what we're looking at first. Later on at the end, we're going to look at our other option of SMS, which is actually part of the email platform where we start building our automation, and we'll see that in the second part of the session. Okay, so a bit of setup first of all then. So we're in our SMS area. So firstly, let's go into the campaigns menu and from names. So SMS from names. In we go, campaigns, SMS from names. So you can create a whole bunch of these. So there's already one. This was, I think our original one was training. That was for this particular account, but I can add a new one. So new from name, really simple in here. So let's, so what we're going to do today, let's just do David training. Okay. So there is a limit. There we are. I knew I'd find it eventually. So let's just do David train and add. So that was a limit of 11 characters there. So there we go. So there's my new from name, and I can set that as the default. If I want to, I can select it as we send campaigns. So it's very simple to create that from name. That's it. Another thing you can do now, which is relatively new, is we can start to track the traffic in Google Analytics, right? So when people click through a link or through from a link on a link from an SMS, we can now track that. So hopefully everyone on this call has set up the Google Analytics tags in their email account. If you've not, let me know and I'll show you where to go. But effectively, it's kind of the same thing. We go to the same menu, campaigns and advanced features. So if you did it in email, it's exactly the same in SMS. Campaigns menu, advanced features. And we turn on the SMS tracking. Now, in my account, it's not been turned on, and that is the default setting. So by default, no Google Analytics tracking code. But click onto that Add Google Tracking and continue. Literally the same process as email. And there we go. It's added in those 3 UTM tags. And those UTM tags, we don't see them in the email. We add them on send of the SMS. We add them on send. So when we put a link into our SMS messages, we'll see later on, you won't see all of this sort of gubbins added in, UTM source and medium, etc. We only see that when they actually hit the site. We add it on as it's there. So you see we can add those, and we can edit them down if we want to. Probably wouldn't edit this one, same as in email really. You know, you want the campaign name, don't you? Which just means that think about this in terms of when you're naming your email campaigns. Think about those, like when we talk about it in email, we talk about maybe ring fencing a few keywords that you might only use for particular types of email. Abandoned being an obvious one. I guess for SMS, you might use the term SMS, or you might use text or something. So we can identify traffic, not from certain campaigns, certain types, or certain focus. So yeah, so we turn on the googly woogly tags. Okay, so then we're going to think about contacts, getting contacts into our account. Oh, quick question there from Claire. Let's have a look. What advice do you give to increase signups for SMS? What advice do you give? Encourage signups. I guess it depends what you're doing, really. I'll dig you out some examples. I've got some examples a bit later on, Claire, and I'll give you some examples of sort of how we might ask people to do that. Obviously, we're collecting data, so all the sign-up forms and stuff like that, we would want to add that on. Obviously, with our consent, we want to start mentioning maybe multiple channels, that kind of thing. So all of the sign-up areas you would normally have, but maybe adding an SMS into that consent information, or that consent statement, if you like, is going to help. Okay, so let's have a look. Right, so contacts. So the contacts menu, here we go. So contacts, my contacts first of all. So just getting it in. So it's very similar to the email system, as you can imagine, So we've got multiple address books. So I could create a new address book, or I can add contacts to an existing one. So let's create a new address book there. Add new address book. Let's give it a name. We'll stick with David Training, or Train as it, David Training. Description there if we want to. So very much the same way as we would do in building an email. And so now either we can upload a spreadsheet, which is what I'm going to do, or you'll see the tab for manually. So you can just paste in phone numbers if you want to. Paste in an big old list of phone number. You'll see here we talk about each number should be on a separate line, and so on. But let's have a look. Okay, so I'm going to upload a spreadsheet. So in terms of your spreadsheet and formatting that, you can import, basically it's 6 columns. One column is for the phone number, and then another 5 columns maybe for a bit of personalization, so first name, job title, whatever it is you might be pulling through in there. Okay, so let's have a look. So just look at some of the advice on here. All imported numbers are treated as international, which means you must include the country code and remove the leading 0 from the local number. So you've got a couple of examples there. So UK +44, removing the 0 that would be before those 7s, 44 or 0044. Okay, usual international format. Okay, right, so we jump in and let's go and grab a little folder here. So let's find an SMS. Let's have a look. Contacts. So there's a bunch of people there. La la la. In we go. So I choose the file. Obviously, I'm going to get a little email there to tell me that file's been uploaded, but obviously it takes a couple of seconds anyway. So upload that file. And then very much like the same as in the email platform, we're going to map the columns. So there we go. Column 1. Now what's slightly different is you don't name the columns in SMS like you would name the data fields, wouldn't you, in email? So we're just going to go in, and of course we're seeing the columns on the left in my spreadsheet, and we're seeing the actual data on the right. So left and right, same as email, you're seeing the spreadsheet, and in the middle, in the drop downs, are my data fields within the platform. So we don't name the data fields in SMS here. So let's just pick that one. It's called, the only one that's got a name is mobile number, and I'm mapping the number. And then I can map other stuff. So I've got first name, we could map always as field 1, and so on. So we could map the data fields that we want to there. Map the fields, hit submit, it's going to upload the data. It takes a couple of seconds, and there we go. So it's not mapped at mine because someone has very helpfully suppressed them all. So it uploads it into my address book there. So we have loads and loads of contacts, lovely contacts in here. So that's the data going in. Pretty standard stuff, pretty much like email. So then we think about suppression list, which someone has very kindly added my contacts to. So we can add contacts to the suppression list if we want to here. So upload a spreadsheet, opt-outs, all that good stuff, as you'd expect. So then we think about sending campaigns. So first of all, a nice straight single SMS message. So contacts, send single campaign, SMS campaign, of course. Click on the link. Da, 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 da. Okay, so this is one person. So I would drop one person's phone number in here. Remember, international format there, and the message and send. So really simple. We still track these, but they're just single sends, maybe a response that you're managing, someone's come back with a certain reply, that kind of stuff. We can go back to them, paste in the phone number and send them a message. Remember, the message for SMS, anything over 160 characters will just drop onto a second message. Okay, so 160 makes one message, 161 will flop onto 2, which will double the price of your SMS campaign, obviously. So yeah, but realistically, we're going to build some proper big old campaigns. So let's have a look. My campaigns. So we'll see all of my campaigns here, and I'll just show you a couple of examples that I've already built. You don't need to watch me typing stuff in, but we'll start with let's have a look. Mama's pizza offer. So I created this SMS. I'm a big fan of pizza. So I'm just going to edit this this particular campaign here. So edit the campaign. So firstly, when we build the SMS, we select the from name. See, there's that David Train one that I built earlier on. We'll stick with Mama's Pizza. And so I've added in my content. So I've put my field in there. So remember, we can add in any personalization. We can pull through the value of any data field and show it as personalization. Now, obviously, with SMS, you've got a little bit careful because we've trying to consider that 160 character limit. I say it's not a limit. Obviously, it just spreads onto a second SMS if that's okay with you. So think about like first name. You know, some people are called, I don't know, Bob, and some people might be called Alexandria or something. So you got to kind of bear that in mind in terms of the length of the personalization you might choose to use. But that's cool because obviously we've got a character count down the bottom. And I've just put in a couple of sort of options here, free pizzas, etc. And so I'm just looking for replies here just to show you how it looks in context, I guess. So reply, pizza offer 21122, pizza being my keyword here. So pizza there is my keyword, identifies me to effectively Dotdigital, and that's my short code. So the word they're actually replying, the reply is offer. So reply pizza offer to 1122, or to unsubscribe pizza stop to 11223. Okay, so that's where we're just using that reply option to do that. I'm going to come back into another message in a second, but you'll see what we're doing there, just putting in those reply options, short code the actual reply itself, and then the keyword. Right, let's go back into another one and let's have a look. So this one I quite like. So this example is kind of almost applying a bit more of the email strategies that we would do. So let's go down into, well done, David. David loves pizza, of course he does. So let's have a look, edit. So in here, I was just thinking, like when we train, obviously email and stuff, we're trying to look at behavior and identify, when people click on things, click on links, that behavior, what does it tell me? What can we, what sort of can we learn from that behavior? So I built email here, or SMS, I should say here, and I've got some big old links. So I'm a pizza company, right? 8 pizzas for the price of 1. Now that is an unbelievable deal, I know. But also what I want to try and learn is what kind of pizzas do people like, right? So I'm trying to give people some options like you would in email, give them 3 links to click on, and if they only click on 1 link, I could maybe make an assumption that that's the type of pizza that they like. So what I've done is I've dropped in a link here. So for meat pizzas, click this link. For vegetarian pizzas, click this. And for vegan pizzas, click here. Now that's all very clever, but you'll see the character count is way over 160. So this end bit here is going to plop onto a second email, isn't it? A text message. So it's not going to be quite as good. But have no fear. What we can do, one of the functions that we've got in the SMS editor is a link shortener. Okay, so this is the full length. Now, obviously, that is a relatively short link, isn't it? I've made that up. Obviously, if you think of a proper link on one of your URLs from your site, it's probably massive. You're talking 50, 60, maybe 70 characters, these big old URLs. So you drop them in and it's going to be huge, but don't worry. What we can do is a link shortening tool. And this is very clever. What it does is a bit like the bit.ly link, I suppose. It shortens the link. And 2 things happen when you shorten the link. Firstly, each URL is shortened to 22 characters. Regardless of how big it is, when you paste it in, we will shorten it to 22 characters as a shortened link. So that's the first thing, so we can fit more stuff on the email. Secondly, because we are doing the link shortening, we are then also tracking clicks. And that's where it gets sexy, right? So it's not just people clicking links and going off, and we use Google Analytics, I guess, to identify where they go to. We're now using what we would in email, where we can identify behaviors, who's clicked on the meat pizza, who's clicked on the vegan pizza, that kind of stuff. So I want to shorten my link. So remember, I'm 199 characters currently. Shorten the links. I can do it for forever, or just for this campaign or whatever. Bang. So now it has shortened the links. You can't see it on the page. It will have shortened them to 22. When it goes out, they won't look like this. And I suppose that's one of the things that you would decide. Do I want my links to have, as this .mailer look, .digital in it? Or am I not too worried? Am I more concerned that people just click the URL anyway? Do I really I'm worried that they're not necessarily branded URLs? So that's I guess the offset that you're going to do. So I've shortened mine. And you also notice it's now down to from 199 to 156. So I'm now within the 160 character link. So now that email is going to go to one SMS. Sorry. So yeah, so that's a really interesting way of doing it. So we're using a bit more email strategies in terms of identifying links, making assumptions based on those behaviors, and off we go down the usual thing. So yeah, so we could preview this in here, have a look what that's going to look like. There we go. So you see now the shortened links. So we've lost the bit that said .digital in there, but what it does mean is a good looking SMS, and we can start identifying, but preferences, maybe even off the fact that someone's clicked on a vegan pizza. Great, we've learned that about that contact. So that's my pizza. That's my pizza text SMS actually. Okay, so all of that is good. Okay, no problems in there, no errors in the campaign. It's all good. So we can do a test send, of course, if we want to. So you can pick someone here. add in a test number. We've got a test, obviously, address book as well. We can send that out, see what it looks like, and so on. Okay, so let's go through and have a look at sort of sending this campaign. So save and continue. Okay, so firstly, to whom are we sending? So very much again, like email. So we pick one address book. So there we go. Select the address book. Do we want to send it immediately? Do we want to send it scheduled? So usual stuff, scheduled there. And then the new thing that we've got in is, do you want to throttle the send? So before, you'd hit send and they'd all go at the same time, and that's great. But as you can do in email, you can also do an SMS now, so we can throttle the send. And what that means is, if I select throttle, what it's going to do is it's going to spread my send evenly over a certain period. So 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, so let's say over 3 hours. And of course, the idea of throttling a send is that let's hope that everyone clicks on all my links to the pizzas. Can my guys in the pizza places deal with that? Will my web server deal with the traffic, first of all? If it's got a phone number on, can the call center handle that amount of phone calls? So that's why you might throttle the send. You spread it out evenly over that set period. There's a minimum number in an address book that you have to have for throttling to be able to work, and that's 100 to make it kind of worthwhile. Oh, good question there from Lawrence. So, can you schedule for a certain time but have contacts in various countries or turn to their time zone? No. So, like with all sends, with email and with SMS, Lauren, it's all about the account time. So, my account time zone, I'm guessing this is a UK account, so it would be based around the time in the UK. So that's your kind of your offset there, I guess, is that it's account time. We can't say sort of send it out of that. What I guess you might do is you might set separate sends for different regions. So you have the same campaign, but going out, 4 or 5 different sends, taking into account those regional time differences. But in terms of that one, no, it's all based around the account time zone. Okay, and then we would hit send and off it goes. Okay, so that's the send of our campaign. In there. Now, you can always stop a campaign like you can in email. You can always stop a send if you change your mind as well. Okay, so just a bit of a recap then. So we need to create the from name so we can send. If we've got our short codes and keywords, we can receive replies. We upload our contacts into our address books. We've got 6 fields. One is the phone number. It's got to be in international format. And then we've got 5 other fields to use as personalization. We can send a single SMS message to a person, pasting in the email address, sorry, the phone number, force of habit, phone number, and then obviously a message. Remember the message, keep it under 160 characters so it stays on one SMS. And then, of course, we've got our big old campaigns where we can add in links, which we can then shorten if we need to. You don't have to, but if you do shorten them, they will be 22 characters per link, and we only track links that we've shortened. So bear that in mind as well. And we can send them scheduled or immediately, and of course we can throttle the send over a set period of time. Okay, so that's what we've looked at so far. We turned on the old Google Analytics as well, didn't we, in advanced features. So we've got our unsent, outbox, and sent. So obviously we can find a campaign that's scheduled in the outbox, and we could stop that send. Okay, so in terms then of reporting, what do we get back? So let's have a look in the reporting. So we've got the single send report, just for those individual ones that we sent out. So that's sort of one at a time thing. Let's have a look. So there we go. So there's my campaigns that I've sent. So this is a send report, really, of all those single emails that I've sent out. Then we look, of course, at the campaign send. So these are our bigger, high volume sends that are going out. This is a slightly different report here. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these. So let's do, well, I'll take this one because we've got lots of everything there. So have a look at my report, and you can see the stats there, but I'll just take you through them. So sends tells me how many I sent. I sent 1. Unique deliveries 1. So that SMS was delivered to that phone. Okay, but but other things can happen. So if we just go across this line here, so you send an email, that's great. If it gets delivered to the phone, to the device, it will be delivered. Pending, this means that the SMS messages, or an SMS message, is with the carrier, whether it be O2, Vodafone, all that stuff, AT&T, is with the carrier, but it's not yet been delivered, or we're not aware that it's been delivered. So pending can be things like, so one thing why people might sit in pending is if the phone's offline. If your phone's turned off, the carrier can't see it, so it can't deliver the email, the SMS, sorry. It might be that you're abroad, on holiday, you turn off that sort of stuff, or wherever it might be, you're on a plane with the phone off, whatever. So it's sitting there with the carrier until he finds the phone, bang, and it delivers it, hopefully. However, that can time out, and it's different for different carriers. It's relatively, it's not, we're not talking hours, we're talking days, but it will time out eventually. If you sit with the carrier and it just can't find the phone that you're trying to send it to, after a certain amount of time, it will soft bounce it. It'll just go, oh, we can't find the phone. And it's probably because the phone's either, dead or out of battery, or it's turned off, whatever. And so you'll get a soft bounce, which means the carrier's been to the carrier, but they couldn't find the phone. It was turned off, so it bounces back. Hard bounce is that phone number is dead. It just doesn't exist. It's been turned off, been cancelled, whatever. So that's just a classic hard bounce, like you would get in email, of course, there as well. And then deleted is very much from the carrier. So again, it's just a case of it got to the carrier and the carrier's gone no, and it's just deleted that message. So there your options, really, I think. So mostly it's going to be delivered or pending. Out of time, it's going to be pending. Hard bounce, it's a bad email, and deleted is just something that the carrier will do to your email. Okay, so that's your reporting. Oh, let's have another one for Claire here. Let me have a look. Don't apologise for questions, Claire. We like the questions. So how do you find conversion rates for SMS versus email? Oh, versus, good question. So that because they're two separate platforms, you'd have to compare them manually, I guess. So what would we do with this, I guess? So we've got our report here. We would just take these figures and compare them separately, because basically they are two. In this example I'm doing, it's a completely separate platform. It's a standalone broadcast SMS tool. So you would just sort of look at your reporting here, look at your figures and so on, maybe export or PDF, and then you just go into your email and you would compare the two. That's the only way to do it, really, because they are standalone platforms. However, I guess if you're using the Google Analytics stuff, then you're going to see that, because obviously if you look at I don't know, results for a certain period, you're using those UTM tags in Google Analytics, you can spot traffic by the two different channels, and obviously we can also then filter that again by secondary filter, which might be campaign name includes whatever it is. So if you had an SMS campaign promoting a certain product and an email promoting a certain product, you could then use your Google Analytics to kind of filter that out, and then you would see a comparison in GA. That's probably the way I would do it. But yeah, so I hope that helps. But yeah, that's probably the best way to do it in Google Analytics. And then, of course, we see in here links that were clicked. So there we go. We've got the one person that actually got this email likes a meat pizza. Now, obviously, we can then start make our assumptions based on whether that person is that's a preference or an area of interest. So we see that sort of stuff. Okay, that's the reporting here. And then finally, any replies. We can have a look. And replies are quite interesting, actually. You can see them in other places as well, which I'll show you. Oh, it's kicked me out. That's good. It's because I keep saying email instead of SMS. I do apologise. I train email twice today. They work like dogs, in the training team. Not really. So let's have a look. Yes, so replies. There we go. And so there we are. So we can see the replies there, which we can then, of course, export out if we want to. So there we go. Okay, so that is pretty much the standard bit of SMS. The from names, the short codes and the keywords, uploading data, building them, sending them, and all the reporting, all very groovy. A few different things that you can do, though. So firstly, I'm going to go into settings and account. So these are just little extra bits that you might want to do. It's up to you. So settings and account, and you'll see in the account bit, there's an SMS settings area. There's a good question there about, do we get notified if there's a reply? We don't. There might be a way you could set it up in segmentation, actually. I'll have a look, see if we can do something cheeky like that. You don't know, there's no particular notification, but we might, no, we won't be able to do that. We could do, if someone had replied, if we sent an email, let's have a think. We'll go into segments in a minute, and I'll have a little look. We might be able to set like a workaround up. I'll have a look, but by default, no is the answer to that. There's no kind of notification there. Okay, so SMS settings. So these are my two keywords. So you know we said keywords and short codes. So you see how this is the short code, and I've got, so I'm sharing a short code, and I've got two keywords there. So if I go into one of these keyword settings here, so these are going to be about what do we do with replies effectively. That's why we would have a short code and a keyword. So just a couple of things. So if you're asking people to send us your mate's number, send us your friend's number, then we say, okay, any numbers added, any SMS numbers, add them to this address book. So there's on my address books, and we could automatically add numbers into an address book. If you ask people for their email address in an SMS message, bear in mind your consent and all that jazz, we can add them directly in to an address book in our email platform. So if we're asking them for their address book so we can send them something for an email address, then we can automatically add them into an address book, which of course then could automatically add them onto an email program, or an email and SMS, or just an SMS program, because we're kind of moving them from the broadcast SMS area into the email SMS, which we'll look at in a sec. And then also you can set this one up, which is basically an autoresponder. So when people reply, you could go back and say thank you effectively, or you might set up a, reply this to, pizza offer to whatever it is, and then we could send back the voucher codes or something to use on the website. So whatever it is there, it's an autoresponder. So it's autoresponder. So it's any reply to any SMS that goes out. So you might change this for each campaign if you wanted to. It means you could set up that auto response, which is quite nice. Okay, so that's the stuff we can set up there. That was settings and account. So then we think about, so this is all broadcast, right? All in our little icon on the left. Then we think about the automation part of SMS. So firstly, you need to turn the channel on. Okay, so we've created those from names and stuff like that, send froms there. So what I do is I go into the settings menu again and go into channel management. This is interesting for everyone, actually, for lots of different reasons. So settings and channel management. So in here, you will see all of the different channels you can turn on or set up in your account, right? They're all in here. It depends on what contract you've got, but they're all there available. So the idea is triggered SMS you will all have, and that's where we set up, being able to send SMS messages through the automation program builder in our email platform. We'll have a look at that. But all the other stuff is here as well. If you want to set up, if it's in your account, Google Audiences and Google Ads, you can add people to those channels if you want to. Royal Mail, Mailshot Maker, really interesting tool for sending out individual mailers or cards or flyers or brochures, that sort of stuff. Quite interesting. Facebook Messenger, push notifications. If you've got an app, you can set those up, and you just click into them and set them up. What I'm going to do is set up triggered SMS. So it's in your account already. You've already got a sent, SMS from name. You might create a few more. Go into triggered SMS, and we set it up. So all we do, so this would be empty to start with. So you'd set up a new profile. Okay, so I'll just create a new one. So the profile is a bit like the sort of from name, but it's when we send from automation. So let's create, I don't know that. So new profile, Mama's Pizza. I've come to my limit there. So I give it a name. We'd select one of the from names that I created. So there's that David Train that I created earlier on. And now because we're setting up to send SMS messages, but using the email tool, what I need to do here is to choose the database in my contact database, email database. Where's the phone number? So we pick the data field that holds the mobile phone numbers. We know they've got to be in international format, all that good stuff. And we turn it on, okay? So basically give the profile a name, choose which of the SMS from names you want that to use, choose the data field that holds your mobile, your phone numbers for SMS, and turn it on, enable it. That's it. And then we would have our nice little, I've got a few here, I'll probably have to delete one, in my channel management, I should say. And you see I've got a few sitting there that I can use. Okay, so that's created those profiles. I've got 3 there. So I can send to any of those 3 profiles through the automation program builder. So we're going to jump back into email now and have a look in there. Alrighty. So we're going to go into a program first of all. So go and build a program. Let's have a look. Okay, so I'm just going to go and edit one of these programs here, and we'll have a look at the SMS node. Really, really simple in here. So let's find the program. Beautiful. Right. So we have in the program nodes the SMS node, and we drag it in. So think about this, you know, all of the uses of this. You might have, like, the old classic would be something like, we sent like an abandoned cart email. You know, we sent the email, did they open it? No. Okay, send it again. Another decision, did they open it? No. Okay, this time let's send them an SMS message. Or what I'm seeing actually a lot more now than I used to is abandoned cart programs being completely SMS, which is quite interesting. So we drag in the node. So where's my start node? Let's kind of make it look a bit more realistic. So we create a program, and we're just going to add people directly onto the program here. And we say, right, send them an SMS. Click into the node. We choose that profile. Remember, we created those names here. So let's do Mama's Pizza again. So that's the profile that I set up in the settings menu, channel management, and then triggered SMS. Then we fill out our message. So again, we can do all the good stuff. Dear first name, in our little @ sign there, it gives us all of that personalization like we saw in the first example. So we could find maybe first name and so on. And off we go. So you'll notice here there is no link shortening in this tool, only in the broadcast SMS. But off we go. We can still paste links in and stuff like that. But it's just we don't have that link tool, and therefore we won't be tracking the links in these particular SMS messages. So like we said before, up to 160 characters stays on one SMS. Over 160, it's going to go on to second SMS. So we can look at that. We can obviously build all that out, and we can preview it and so on. So we can see our message. And so that's built in here. And what the beauty of this one is, maybe you don't have the link shortening and stuff like that, but it's in the program builder. So we can use all of that stuff to make a decision as to, you know, when to send what and all that good stuff. Might be solely SMS, might be because they've not opened an email, might be because we're just going in tandem and they work beautifully together. Dear David, check your email. We've just sent you an awesome offer. Oh, okay, whack, over you go. All of that kind of stuff. So it's really good to kind of enhance those different channels. So yeah, so the SMS node will appear when I just did then, when I set it up in my settings menu and then channel management. Set it up and you get the SMS node. Really useful. A couple of last things on here then. Segment. So someone asked, can we get a notification if someone replies? The answer is no in the broadcast SMS, but I'm just going to try something cheeky here and show you, because there is a very clever node in a program. So I'm just building a program here. Wasn't intending to do this, so bear with. Right, so the question was, can we get notification if someone replies? Now, from the broadcast, no, we can't. However, here we can here. So let's have a look. Bear with me. Right, so reply. You'll recognize the segmentation tool. If you're not using this, crikey, get on the knowledge base there, or look at the training videos, probably better. Data management section, training videos. Look at segmentation, it's genius. But we're going to go to replies. So I just want to see what we can do here, really. So in the reply node, we can refer to email or SMS. So we can identify people that reply to emails, but that wasn't really the question. The question was SMS. So interestingly, so have they replied to any SMS? Is one. Okay, so you see in the background, there's all my SMS messages. So in answer to that, looking at that, well, David loves pizza. That was one of my broadcast SMSs. So at the moment, I say, yeah, if anyone replies to any SMS, I can put a time frame on that, add them to this segment. But the other one was option is specific content. So let's have a look. So if anyone replies is equal to, contains, starts. So if it contains the word, so if I think one of mine was pizza or something, then okay. So include anyone that replied to any SMS with the word pizza in it, that kind of stuff. So we can identify if they replied or not, or with specific content or not. So here's an example of the question there: can we let people know that someone's responded? So you could do this, right? This is a workaround, but it would work. So let's say replied with any content. Well, you could do both, doesn't matter, whatever. So it could be they've replied to any campaign, or it might be that we replied specific content. But what we probably do is say today, or in the last 24 hours, or whatever you want to do. Let's say last 24 hours. So what I'm saying here is include in this segment anyone that's replied to any SMS in the last day. Or we could have done the bit where it says replied any particular response, right? So that's the standard, let's just save that. That's a standard SMS rule in a segment. So this is the workaround, okay? So what would we do? Okay, so what you would do then is you build a program to do this. So we would build a program really simply, just to answer your question. So you build a program to notify your teams. You can notify them by email. If we make this up as we go along. So let's have a look. So the blank statement is going to be SMS response. Where are we? Oh my goodness, my pen is terrible. Excuse me. Message. So excuse all this. So this program is going to identify people replying to an SMS, and it's going to let someone know. Okay, that's kind of, I guess, answer your question. So start node. So I'm going to say every day. So every day at, I can't leave it alone. I've got to put a decent time, 11 o'clock. Every day at 11 o'clock, find me people that responded. So segment in here. This is why it's just so beautiful. Segments and automation. So replies. So find me people who have replied to an SMS message, reply to any SMS, or replied to specific content. So let's go with the pizza lovers. So reply specific content in the last day, and the content, where does it include? Contains, oh, crikey, scroll down a bit. Well, let's do equal to pizza. Okay, so include people that replied pizza to any SMS in the last one day. So you obviously can see there's a lot more options there I could do, but just to kind of give you the example, apply. Let's enroll them on the program. Well, you could do it just once, or you could every time. Really, let's just say just once. Okay, so that's my start node, right? Every day, look for people who have replied pizza to an email in the last 24 hours. And then this is the node that you might want to do, add contact. Okay. It's going to work. Yes, it is. We could say add people to an address book. So we could select a particular address book. Have I got one in there that we could use? Let's have a look. So we can add them to an address book, and then we can get the address book to send out a notification. So select an address book. Is there one? Yes, there is. Right, I'm going to use let's just find this one, waiting list, okay? So that's the address book that I'm going to add people to. So what that node is doing is adding people automatically to that address book when they hit this node. So every day we find people that replied pizza to an email in the last 24 hours. I'm going to add them to that address book, and that's my program. That's job done. Hit save, that's live. Sorry, activate, that's live. So now if I go back to that address book that I'm adding people to automatically, so we find our address book, right, whichever it was. I'm not going to go hunting for the address book. Let's pretend that I used this address book, okay? In an address book, you've got notifications. Either a join notification, so when an individual person is added to the address book, an email goes out. So you drop an email address in there. So that person gets an email, say, hey, Johnny client's been added to this address book. As long as your contact, that's obviously your, whoever it is you want to tell, your customer service or sales team, email goes to them and they'll tell them they're in this address book. So as long as everyone knows what that means. Or you could do a daily summary. So if I set that up now, what time is it now? Let's say 4 o'clock. If I hit save now, every day at 4 o'clock, that person there will get an update and say, hey, there's now 50 people in this address book, and these 5 people joined in the last 24 hours. So combining a bit of segmentation in in your program, finding the people using that replies node in your start node, then using that add node to add them into a address book, and then using the notifications here, you can then send an email out to a sales team. I know that's a weird workaround, but it would work, right? So just a thought. Anyway, so that is pretty much everything. Let's have a look. Okay, so from names, short codes, keywords, contacts, building campaigns, reporting, replies, and automation. That is SMS. I hope that was of use. I'm going to stop the recording now, but if anyone's got any more questions, I'm going to stay on the line, etc. So thank you very much indeed.